Welcome, adventurers and dungeon masters. This is the show where I read your next adventure's tarot with Magic the Gathering cards. This time, we're going to be using one of my most well cared for decks, but also a deck that I almost never use. This is a deck that is, in my humble opinion, too powerful. It is... You're either going to use it at the table and you are going to get targeted immediately, or you're going to just win. And that would be the deck I built around Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. The whole thing about the deck is about ninjas, ninjutsu, cheating in different monsters, different attacks, and then quickly going through your deck to find your bombs and wiping out your opponents very, very quickly. It is a powerful deck. I love it. I put a lot of love into this ninja deck for the art, for the creativity, and largely just because I am, by and large, a weeaboo. But I do not personally enjoy playing this deck. This deck is either no fun at all because you're targeted, or it's no fun because you take everyone else out at the table. But we should have some very fun, very interesting cards for our D&D story. We start with our first card, going to determine the hero's objective. Second is going to determine the challenges and obstacles. Third is going to determine an influencing NPC. Fourth will determine the big bad of the adventure. And the fifth is going to determine the reward. So let's go ahead and draw our cards, or reveal our cards, and see what our adventure is today. So the hero's objective, arcane signet. There's a few different things we can do. And again, we can use name, image, and description here. Then for the challenge or obstacle, we've got Skull Snatcher, a rat ninja. And then for our third card, which is going to determine an influencing NPC, we have Opt. This is a scry card, but the art on this is absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite cards in this deck. Next, we have the fourth card, which is the big bad of the adventure, and that would be Satoru, the Infiltrator. Okay, this is going to be interesting. And now let's take a look at our treasure or reward, which will be Sensei's Divining Rod. If any of you are familiar with Magic the Gathering and this deck, just seeing this and this tells you very clearly this deck is meant to absolutely crush. Let's go ahead and put this in the context of D&D and figure out what we are going to do for today's story. So today we have arcane signet. We can say there is some jewelry that needs to be recovered. I like the glow. I want to go ahead and say that this is going to be an adventure for a magical item. I like the idea of collecting some sort of magical power or artifact. And then we have a challenge or obstacle is going to be Skull Snatcher. So we have kind of the rat motif. And we have our NPC. We could say we have a diviner, maybe a fortune teller, and we have our big bad Satoru, the influencer, and the reward. So I think the way to go ahead and frame this in the context of a D&D story is that your heroes or your adventurers are in need of the divining signet. They need to get this maybe to find a destination or to gain access to their next location. Maybe it's an important treasure that is needed to access, or a dungeon, or the the realm of the BBG. But the source, we could say it's a monastery or I like the idea of a monastery. The monastery holds this relic in dear regard. They cannot, they're guarded to protect it, and they can't let it go to just anyone. Your heroes might be the fabled heroes of your story, but even so, a wise elder of the monastery is going to know that giving this up without getting something in return would be foolish. So that elder lets you know that they need you to recover this arcane signet. Something that I think I like to do is, instead of making this an obvious, good-natured quest of you're recovering a stolen relic from the monastery itself, I like the idea of it being a situation where the monastery is not owed the relic, but rather the monastery needs to include the relic into their vaults for some reason. Maybe it's something they've long coveted. Maybe it's something the elder has always wanted. Or maybe it's a small piece of some kind of greater plan this monk or maybe even cultists hiding in the monastery are trying to put together. Perhaps you could even work that into the story where it's a bit of a deception. The monastery says it's stolen, but they're actually secretly hiring your adventurers to steal the relic. The obstacle is that they need to recover it from... I kind of like the idea of going with the rat ninja idea. They need to recover it from a rat ninja clan. These would be anthropomorphic rats who train in the secret arts of ninjutsu. And your adventurers have to travel into the deep mountains to find these this mysterious ninja clan. And I feel like a good way this sort of would reveal itself is that your heroes might find a lead or follow a lead that takes them to a certain place, but then it's the rat ninjas who find them instead. Perhaps the way they find that ninja clan is they seek out an oracle in the region. Maybe I wouldn't put the oracle in the same town or monastery that you get the quest from. Rather, the oracle would be someone they send you to. Perhaps a soothsayer or wisdom for some reason doesn't work with the monastery or had broken off with the monastery, and add a little bit of plot and drama there. But they need to go to the soothsayer, and the soothsayer reveals that the rat clan is in a certain location in the forest, in the mountain forest. When you arrive there, the rat ninjas will surround your players, and your players are forced to, kind of either negotiate their way out of it or fight their way out of it, with the leader being Satoru, the infiltrator. And I think a fun thing you can do to add an interesting twist to this story is you could make it a straightforward story where they fight all of the ninjas and they defeat them, they collect the relic, bring it back, and then they get their prize, right? Very basic, very straightforward. But I really like dynamic choice in my games. So I think having, similar to other episodes, I think having an option where they encounter this person to drastically shift the game would be interesting. So maybe they can fight these guys and get the item, or maybe they negotiate it. Maybe they talk their way through, and Satoru reveals that this was never stolen, that it was always there, was always theirs, and that they're on a false quest, or maybe they know something about the monastery. Maybe they know it's full of cultists. You could use this as another hook, a linking chain in a story where now Satoru says, I could help you get the relic you actually need through stealth and guile, but then you could go ahead and give them their own little hook. But I need you to go do this, right? I need you to go back and maybe convince the soothsayer to come back to the ninja clan, or assassinate the soothsayer who's leading people into their secrets, right? And work this interwoven thing where you can take a quick, violent route to get the relic you need, or you can take this interesting kind of roundabout route where you meet what appears to be your opponent, and then they direct you to someone else, and then you work with them to help you get the relic. I think I would call this the adventure of Intrigue and Subterfuge. I hope this helps you with your adventures. Take it, use it, split it up, divide it up, however you need for your one-shots, for your adventures and your campaigns. Thank you for joining me here today for D&D Tarot, and may your saving throws go well. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.